Hey folks, today we're making an ottoman. I've got a customer over in Oxford, Mississippi that needs a custom built ottoman that is 20 inches by 20 inches by 19 inches tall is what she wants the total overall size to be. So we're going to go over today on how to build a 20 by 20 by 19 ottoman. We've got a few tools we need. I went and got some new ones because the ones I use every day were in poor shape. Not YouTube ready. Got us a square yardstick, both made out of metal. Don't get the plastic one. It's a waste of money. So what you want to do first, before you do anything, is draw out your two squares 20 by 20 inches. I'll spit it out in a minute. Y'all hold on. Okay, here we go. You're gonna lay it up in the corner. Find your 20-inch mark. You want to bring it all the way down. Make sure it's flat. That way it's square. You want to make your mark 20 inches. Same thing. Flip it. Make sure it's flat so it's square. 20 inches. Now, you want to make sure it's flat on the bottom, even with the bottom. Find your notch and ease it over. Make sure everything's flat on the outside edge. And you want to come over here and make your line 20 inches and come down. First you want to make sure your marker will mark. Normally I use pencils, but you couldn't see it. So I figured this marker would do better. I'm starting to think better of that. There we go. There you go. Hope you can see that. That is a 20-inch straight line. Here we go. Got us another one. Make sure it's flush. Find your line. Come over here. That's money right there, 20 inches. Okay, so what we got right here is a 20-inch square. We need a top and a bottom. So what we're gonna need is two of those. So we're gonna make another one. Now, we got our two 20-inch boxes. That's good for the top and the bottom. She wants two of these. I'm gonna show y'all how to make one. By that, you make the other one yourself. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna use our yardstick. The way these go together is I use 2x4s in my corners and 3/4 inch plywood. That way, I've rated these, I put enough weight on it and stood on them that these will withstand static load pressure of 1,000 pounds. How much will they load? I don't know. I know they'll hold 1,000. And if you weigh more than 1,000 pounds, you ought not be getting up on a footstool anyhow. But anyway, I use 2x4s. 2x4s are not 4, they're 3.5. So what we do is, we come over here. We're gonna make our line. 3.5 inches, just like that. Same thing, come in 3.5 inches. 1, 2, 3, and there's your half. Gonna go over here. 3.5, right there. 1, 2, 3, and then a half, right there. There it is again. 1, 2, 3.5. Just like that. Now I'll show you why we're making these marks here in just a minute, because this isn't just a simple square ottoman. She wanted some shape to it. So we're gonna give her some shape. I'll show you in just a second how we come about getting that shape. 15.5. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. All of our sides are done. Look at there. And what kind of shape? She wanted a little concave shape to this, just something to keep it from being square. Well, what do we use for that? Ha, hold on. Pizza pan. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna come right here. And we're gonna sit that thing just like it right there, in between them 2 notches. And then we're gonna make a cutout. There we go. And then we're gonna make us a cutout. I'll get this squared up in a minute. There we go. The pizza pan has to be going out of the square. There we go. Now this one we're gonna have to hold it. Line it up. What you can do is hold it, line, what I normally do on something like this, line it up, pinch it, and then just slide it over to the nut. Now you can use, let me show you what we got here, because I'm gonna show her a picture of this before I ever cut it out to make sure that this is what she is looking for. Now that looks a lot like an X, that's fine. You too can use a rusty old pizza pan that you use for upholstery. That's my upholstery pizza pan. This right here, we would cut out right here, right here, right here, and right here. And this is gonna look more like an X. So I wanna make sure that that is enough, or if she wants it bigger, smaller, whatever she wants, because we could take this radius and bring it in or out. Dang, what do you have if that is not big enough? To bring this in, you have to increase the diameter of the circle. So what you would have to do is you would have to come up with a larger circle. So what we would do is you could come over here and draw you a line centerways of this and this, come out dead middle with a screw. Now you could take a screw and you could take you a string, tie around this. And what you do is, the further away you get from this, the bigger the diameter. So what you would do is you put your screw here and you come across. And if that doesn't look like it's enough, what you do is you can either let off, you can take your tie and your knot around this, and what I do is I let off a little, let off a little, let off a little, and the screw stays in the same spot. This is what's going to move. You're going to tie a loop around this to the string, to the screw. Screw hole don't bother this none. It's all going to get upholstered and covered up. You can have foam and fiber and fabric and everything else. It's just a little bitty hole. Ain't even that big in the top of the wood or nothing. Run your screw. Tie your string around this. Tie your string around the screw. Loop it. And it's going to do this. If it looks like it's too big, you want to draw it in. So you pull the string a little bit further and then make your loop. See how it gets smaller? That's how you want to do that. Or, I do have a hubcap. So, hey, I've used a tire rim. Whatever you got, 55-gallon drum. I'm in for easy stuff, man. If you want to cut something that has just a little bit of a radius, you could take a round Rubbermaid garbage can lid. Same thing, you want to hold that lid right there and ease it over. Just like you do this right here. You want to get right there at that spot and ease it over until the other side touches this. And what it's going to do is, it's going to take less of this to fill in with the bigger circle. So the radius of that's going to come way out here. Now that's going to still be at these points, but it's going to be a much less cut in than this right here. This may be too much. I need to make a phone call. I'll be right back. And if that's too big, then we're going to do something else. All right, after getting off the phone with the client, I sent her a couple pictures and we were coming in way too far. So what that means is we actually had to come in and make a larger diameter circle to come in here with this. Let me show you what we come up with. We're coming out 3/4 of an inch from the outside edge of this square. So we're starting off with a square. So what I did was the 20-inch box. So I went in, found my 10-inch line and made a notch. 10-inch line and made a notch. And that way what I did was you come through here and now you got your center point. There's my center point right there to what is going to be the center of the diameter of the circle that would be needed to do what she's trying to do. See, sometimes when you're working with clients, they're not 100% sure what they want. So it's a lot of back and forth, but what you end up with is something that exactly they wanted that nobody else has because it's specific to their individual designs. That's what we do. Once we get done with your custom piece of furniture, there's not another one like it. It is yours and yours alone. And most of the times what I do is, if it's something that it looks like we would put in our line and sell to the general public, we'll say, hey, you know, we'll give you a discount to let us keep the patterns and then duplicate that. And if not, we take the patterns and we chunk them in. The next time we do a scrap pile, burn pile, we'll do our wood and everything. And we have a little bonfire, cook Wendy's, whatever, hang around and drink, you know, iced tea and a little cold water. But that's what we do. If it's okay with the client and they're okay, we'll offer a discount to keep the patterns. And if not, it's yours forever. Nobody else has it because we literally, I can't really use the patterns again. So we just take them and chunk them in the burn pile and enjoy the night air over your patterns. But anyway, this is what I was talking about doing. You come over here, see what this is the center point of the circle that is needed to get the correct radius right here. So the actual diameter of this circle would be from here to here over to here. So I don't have anything that big. So what I would do is turn around and start loosening this or bringing it in when I've got it, you know, close. If not, you can move your screw here in and out. As long as you maintain this same center point right here, just like that. Now what we have to do is, this is why we go back and we mark all of our 3.5 inch lines, because I don't need this, I don't need that. I don't have to do this same thing over every corner. What I do is I do it one time. I take my jigsaw and we'll cut this out, and I use this as my template. That piece of wood will slide it over here and then make a line. Slide it over here in between these, and then I'll make a line, and I use this one piece to do all of my sides. So anyway, once we get that done, 3/4 of an inch, you want to come in and it's locked down. See, this is loose, so I could actually let this in and out if I needed to. But you come in, keep it tight, and see this radius is going that way, and it's right like that to my corner. There's my 3.5 inch line. There's my 3.5 inch line. It's 3/4 of an inch from here to here. That's exactly what she's looking for. I already took a picture. I already drew the line once, took a picture. She's good to go with that. So that's what we're gonna go with. And very few tools, like I said, a couple rulers, and I went and found my black sharpener marker too. You know, you gotta have a drill to put your screw in if you need it. But this is the quickest way to add any kind of simple curves. If you're doing a one-off piece like we do, a lot of this will hand sketch, hand draw a lot of this. There's no sense in going through the expense of creating a pattern other than my fabric patterns. And I make fabric patterns for all of my pieces. I've got a 80 mil cardboard that we use for that. And but just the wood part of it, most of the time, I started out, good Lord, 30 years ago, hand sketching this stuff out with a guy at Lazy Boy named Bobby Snell. Bobby taught me how to do it by hand. I can do this on AutoCAD. I've been using AutoCAD for probably 20 years. And what we can do is print it out. We've got a 50-inch wide plotter, and I could draw it on AutoCAD, plot it out, and we would glue the paper to a pattern piece, that same 80 mil cardboard pattern piece. But I found out over years, after doing it so much, I've done it so much, so often, that it's easier for me to just sketch it out and do it like that. But what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna come through here and I'm gonna cut this out. Today, we do not need you, my brother, but don't go far, you never know. All right, jigsaw. You want to hang it off the table so you do not cut your table. I've got little cut spots all around this whole table, but I just prop it up on my knee. And here we go. you cut on the line, because when you made the line, you marked on the outside of the ruler. So the line itself is the line you want to cut on. So when you're drawing it out like this, make sure you cut on the line. Not to the left or to the right of the line, on the line. The reason I did not cut this out is because I need my square, because if I had to cut this out first, my pattern would still be hooked to the wood. I don't want that. Yep, it is hot out here. But when we're dealing with sawdust and the saws and everything, I like to cut either close to the shop or outside. And there is nothing better than there ain't a cloud in the sky today. And what we're doing is making the YouTube videos today. I got a couple of them I'm gonna shoot today, and there is nothing better than the sun beating on the top of my head for good natural light. Grab it. Gotta love it. Alrighty. Right here, we're fixing to cut that out, and that's gonna be our template for every one of them we do. Same one, that way uniform. You wanna come in right at the notch you made, the notch right there and right there, that's where you come. And you wanna cut on the line. I don't want that to just fall, because sometimes it'll snap right there. And like I said, I'm using this for a pattern. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it this way, come in on the notch, and saw back towards the cutout I just made. Just like it. Now, see that little cutout? That's just enough of an accent to where it gives it some shape and some flair without being too crazy, and it'll go anywhere. So what we do here is we're gonna turn it this way, right in between our two notches. We're gonna line it up, flush with the outside edge, just like that. Now we want to even it up in between the notches, just like that. Like I said, it's always hard as making the first one. But when you're building custom furniture, a lot of times, every one of them for a while is the first one. Every once in a while, a client will say, yeah, sure. You know, y'all can keep the patterns, do what you want to with it, as long as I get mine, and they'll take the discount, which is normally like 15% discount. But I mean, we've got sofas that are $2,000–$3,000, so 15%, you know, it adds up. And a lot of times they'll let us keep them. And like I said, we don't ever go back on it. If the customer says no, it's no, and that's it. And we roast weenies on your patterns. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut all this out, and then I'll show you where we go from this point. But you can see it's pretty easy. Like I said, you want to cut on the black line, not on this side or on this side. You cut through the black line, and everything will line up great. Anyway, I'll be right back as soon as I get all this cut up. All right, we got our top and the bottom cut. 20 inch by 20 inch, a little concave in there. Let me show you why we cut this 3.5 inches with 2x4. Because what we're going to do is sit this just like this. That's going to be our corner plate. And what we do is we one facing this way, one facing that way, then so forth. You want one on every side, one going this way, one going this way. So if this one goes this way, then this one goes this way. Same thing, see the wide and then the narrow. See wide and then the narrow, and it goes like that all the way around. That way you get the most amount of support, and each side has at least one side to where, sometimes we do these out of polypropylene, the poly strips, the white ones, and sometimes we do it out of fabric, a real hard fabric that we've got left over, but a lot of times we do it out of a cardboard and just make it solid, make the side solid. So 15 inches. How do we come to 15 inches? The overall height of the ottoman is going to be 19 inches tall. We always put a 2-inch crown foam on it, so there's 2 inches of foam at the highest point in the center. There's 2 inches of foam, so you got 2 inches, and then you turn around and you've got these, which are 3/4 inch plywood, and then 2 of those, that's 1.5 inches. So you take the 2 inches of foam from the overall 19, the 1.5 inches, which is going to be your plywood pieces, and then you've got 15.5 inches for this. But we always put a fiber over the top of the ottoman to give it that push, and plus we've got little glides on there that are a little more than 1/4 inch tall. So overall we go from 15.5 to 15 is how long this needs to be. So we're going to go ahead and mark out these 15 inches tall. So 15 inches here, plus the foam, plus the fiber, plus the plywood will give us our 19-inch overall height. The first thing we've got to do is, are these, no, these are almost 16 inches. That's what this one is. So we're going to mark it at 15 inches. Then I'm going to come back, flush it side up, boom, just like that. And I'm going to use this kind of like a speed square. Just mark our line. So that's what's got to come off of it. Now we've got, we'll just do this. We'll mark it right there. That's our 15. Bring this over to the edge. That's 15. Boom. Same thing. We're bringing it to 15 down here. Bring it back to the edge so we know it's square. So it's on our point. It's 15 inches. It's flat here, so this line is straight. And I'll go over something else in just a second. Let me get this last one, 15 inches straight. You always want a straight angle all the way down. None of this garbage on the outside, this can't be on a corner, going one way or the other. So what you always want to do is flip it around to where you have a nice smooth angle, no matter which way you flip this thing. See, nice smooth angle right there or right there. You want to keep the bad stuff to the inside. That way you've got a good square corner to upholster. You're going to have to bring your foam, your fiber, your fabric, all this stuff has to go around it. It has to be, this is probably the most crucial point. This, you can wibble wobble with this and kind of get away with it. It's not that noticeable, but when you start having the bad points like this on your outside edge, looks terrible. Don't do it. This is where you pay attention. It has to be square. Now, everybody does not have, I've got a chop saw and I'd be done with this in a matter of seconds. Everybody doesn't have that, so I'm gonna cut these off with the jigsaw real quick. Hold on. Now this one isn't, but they make them, they sell them at Walmart, man, just about everywhere. You can get one for 25, 30 bucks, a jigsaw. It will do. This right here, 30 years ago, when I started designing furniture at home, I had I think it was a Black & Decker $19 jigsaw and a skill saw, an air compressor, and a staple gun. And that's what I started Downs Family Furniture with. Those were rough beginnings, my people. But anyway, here we go. This has to be straight and on the line too. because you want every one of them to be the exact same length. That's normally why I set up the chop saw. I put a stop up at 15 inches clean, run it up to the stop, chop it. But like I said, everybody doesn't have that. I'm gonna show you how to do it with what most people have. And one more important thing, you don't want to push it through the wood, just let it cut. Just let it cut. Sometimes it takes a while. This is a good chunk of wood to be cutting with a jigsaw. Take your time. You don't want to burn the motor up. You don't want to dull your blade. You don't want to do any of that. Just take your time and just cut it straight and just let it go. I'll be right back. All right, we got all 4 of them cut. Now, how to attach it to the wood. Here we go. This is the next step. All of our wood's cut. From this point, we're going into the assembly phase. Most of this would be done inside the upholstery shop. I'm gonna go ahead and do the whole frame outside today just because there's no clouds and it's great sunlight out here. It's a little hot, but hey, I ain't afraid to sweat. Be fine. It's Mississippi. Humidity is awesome. The heat index today is only 105. Nothing to it. The next thing you're gonna need is either one or two things. I use a pneumatic gun and nail this, boom, done, takes seconds. Everybody doesn't have that. So here's what we're gonna use. I'm gonna use what I used to back in the day. We're going to drill this together using screws, quick and easy. Let me go grab my drill, a couple screws, be right back. All right, we're back. We got our handy dandy bucket of screws. This is my hammer. Don't judge me. Good enough. These two, they sell at the local Walmart, discount, hobby shop for about 30 bucks. That ain't the one I normally use. We normally use Milwaukee, but for today, 30 bucks. I think 30, 39, something like that. Anyway, it's cheap. You ain't breaking the bank on it. Now, we're gonna look through our handy dandy bucket of bolts and screws and whatnot, and we are going to get us 8 screws that make sense to use. There we go. Alrighty. Now, like I said, you want to watch your corners, just like that. Look at where they're at. You know you're gonna need one about right there. I think this is soft enough where we can just screw it straight in. There we go. We'll just go all the way around, and we're going to go ahead and put these in, get them started. Now normally I would tell you, oh, mark your line, trace it out so you know you're inside of there. I'd laid that up there and then traced the hole outside so I know I'm inside the box of that. And then I'd tell you, hey, you want to pre-drill your hole so your wood don't split, and that way it's perfect. And or you could just screw it in and build the darn thing. That'd be my advice. Once again, you want to find a good corner. There you go. Get you a prop. You want to line it flush with the side and flush with the front. You want the corner of this even with the corner of the 2x4. And you begin to screw your screw in. There you go. And I hold on to this and let it spin. There you go. You just countersink it just a little bit. Find a good corner. There we go. Now we're going to put this one up. We're going to line it up, flush it up. And I'm pushing down on this to hold this flush. Just countersink it just a little bit. Oh, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. There we go. Found a good side. Alright, flush it up. This is very important. Can't have any hanging out or you will see it after this thing's built. Can't have it dipped in because it'll kind of give a little bubble look right there. It's got to be flush between this and your ply and your 2x4. There we go. There we go. Make sure it's still flush. Just like it. You flip it enough times, you'll find a good corner. And it moved on me. So now, because I wasn't holding it, there we go. There we go. Let's line that up. That screw was hot. Woo. Line that up. Push down on it to keep it from moving. There we go. And this will go on back down. There we go. Are you seeing it now? We started out with a pile of lonesome wood, and now we are making an ottoman. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. But there's 3 different kinds of screws in there, and I'm getting the ones with the more aggressive thread on them. All right, flush here, flush here. Go. Same thing. Flush and flush. Good to go. And I'm holding this in place with the heel of my hand right now. I'm pushing down on it and holding with the screw. The force I'm pushing down on it with isn't a lot, but it's enough to hold these corners down until I can screw it in. There we go. Just like it. Spin it around. Now we could. This one's going to act funny. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this screw started and this screw started. Now I'm going to bring this over here and get this all even. 2x4 is a bit warped upon me. So what we're going to do is, the main thing is get this point straight and even. I'm holding it down so it don't move with my thumb. There we go. Same thing. This one's a little bit wanting to lean on me. So I'm going to go ahead and get these screws going. Sometimes they go together, no problem. And then sometimes they want to act up. Alright, same thing. I'm holding this 2x4 with my thumb and I'm pushing down with the heel of it, and that's got it locked down in that corner. I go ahead and screw this screw in. There we go. Okay, the difference between these frames and most of the frames you find in your regular typical furniture store, these are 1x2s, which means it's half as thick this way and half as thick this way. So what you're ended up with is this little bitty rail, or sometimes they're 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches piece of wood right there in that corner. And that's what's holding your whole thing up. And this is not 3/4. A lot of it, it'll be, man, I've seen 1/2 inch on the top and as thin as 1/4 inch on the bottom. Because on the bottom, you don't staple into the side of it on the bottom. You actually just bring the fabric around and staple it. You can staple straight into that 1/4 inch if you wanted to. And a lot of times what you're buying in the stores on these simple little ottomans, that's what you're buying. You're buying a 1/2 inch piece of plywood, and sometimes it's just the rib cut out with a piece of cardboard, and they'll take that piece of plywood they cut out and use it for something else. And the same thing on the bottom, or it'll have a 1/4 inch piece on the bottom, which is just no bigger than that right there, and that's your whole bottom plate. That's why when you pick it up, you feel like you could probably chuck it all the way back out the front door of the furniture store. This, you ain't chunking this. This is heavy. It's built to last. You can tear it down and rebuild it 3 or 4 times in different fabrics. Anyway, that's your frame. This is the bulk of what holds everything down. And like I said, we've had as much as 1,000 pounds. We made a 12x12, put 1,000 pounds on it, and it held it. How much will it weigh? I don't know how much it'll hold, but like I said, 1,000 pounds, son. If you weigh over 1,000 pounds, you ain't climbing up on an ottoman no how. If you drop this out the back of your truck while you're moving and you're going down the road, it may scuff the fabric up a little bit. Hey, if it does, holler at me. I'll reupholster it for you. Pick the fabric out. We'll do some business. The frame won't break. All right, we're back with probably the one piece that I will not skimp on. You can use the electric staplers. That's cheaper than this. I guess you could probably use furniture tacks, go real old school, but there just isn't a replacement for this that makes sense in today's age. You don't have to get this one this size. They make little pancake air compressors that are like 1.5, 2 gallons for around $100. You need an air hose and a staple gun. You don't have to get this brand, but if this is something that you want to do, that you want to spend any amount of time learning the trade of upholstery, that's the best they're gonna make right there. This, not just this name brand, this model, this is it. They just don't get any better than that. But find yourself a BEA gun. If not, you can go to Lowe's, and Lowe's has a version of this. Even Walmart has a staple gun that you can hook up to an air tank. But go with a pneumatic staple gun if this looks like something that you'd be interested in, or if it looks like there's some hobbies and there's stuff that you could use that for other than upholstery around the house. If it's something you're going to use often enough to justify the purchase of it, get yourself a good staple gun. 2 ways to do this. They make a polypropylene band that's about 2.5 or 3 inches wide that you can go up and down. Now this is it's a really stiff, hard fabric that I bought for $1 a yard 10 years ago, and I bought 50 yards of it on a whole roll, and we cut it up into 3-inch sections, and I still have some left. But anyway, this isn't what we normally use, but most people aren't going to have access to this. So if this is something you're going to try to do, and like I said, you don't have to cut the concaves out, just build a square ottoman, start from there, and then move forward. But anyway, you want to staple this at the bottom, and and then pull your slack to the top, just like that. Now you want to do this about 2-inch sections. You're going to have a gap, and then you're going to have one here, one here, one here. You're going to end up with 3 to 4 bands across here. You want to do the ones going vertical first. That way you get the concave shape. It's locked in. And then you want to come behind it. I forgot my knife. I'll be right back. I had to go get my handy dandy butter cutter. There we go. Like I said, what we'd do is we'd run, turn this thing around so you can see it. It'd be about right there, and then we would end up having to have another one here. So what you'd have to do is put, well, that's not quite in the middle. We'd end up with about 4 right here, and then another one we would basket weave in and out of these, and when you do one in the middle, one here and one here across, and that would be enough to where that'll give you a solid surface. Like I said, I still have this. I use it sometimes on different designs, but on these, because it's a footstool, there's a lot of traffic around this. We use the cardboard sides and staple them on. That's what we do. It just makes for a better surface because there's a lot of foot traffic around this, and if somebody hits it with their foot, it's less likely to damage the interior structure of the ottoman, because we've got the fiber that comes across there and the fabric. And once it stretches, some fabric does not stretch back out. So I need something solid behind there to where if the toe of somebody's shoe hits this, it does not go in. It's solid and just something to make the piece last longer. That's really the main thing. That's one of the things that I stress most about the furniture we build. It's not just nice furniture. It's really generational. It's built to last for years. But if you'll see, this is why we have one side long. So we'll come over here, we'll butt this to the side, and this being short, we buy these in sheets, and we can get, I think, 6 or 8 out of a sheet panel. And sometimes they come in oddball sizes, and this ends up being a little short. See, I can actually lose a whole inch off of this, and it's not, I've still got solid surface back there. See? So we just got in the habit of building them in a certain way. That way, if we do need a little extra something, we've got it. And if we don't, then fine too. But anyway, I'm gonna stop standing on my hose. You wanna tack that. Make sure everything's good over here. Everything's good up there. Tack it. You got a good surface over there. Now you wanna push here. And once you push here and you're taking this concave shape, you're going to shoot right at the lip of that concave and come back on the flat surface. Shoot right at the concave part and back at the flat. That way this flat part is locked down. You want to put your hand here and shoot at the end of that concave. So you still got your flat up here. Now we're going to work backwards. Now, this whole thing's locked down, and it will take that bend. Because if you don't, a lot of times it wants to bend this way and this way at the same time if you don't do it just like that. Bend it over. Sometimes they don't go all the way in. Take the back of it, which substitutes as a hammer, and they tell everybody don't do that in the industry. I didn't listen when I worked for Lazy Boy. I don't listen now. There you go. We're gonna do that 3 more times, and that will be the frame.